So this big shot money manager slash famous investor, Michael Burry. So this past Monday, this week, according to securities filings, this guy, Michael Burry, placed a giant bet, basically against the US economy, well, specifically against the S&P 500 and of course the NASDAQ. So these securities filings basically show that the guy put up $1.6 billion. It's a lot of money. $1.6 billion betting that the US stock market basically will all come crashing down, which is pretty nuts. And then there's this picture. Could this be why he's betting over $1.5 billion against the US economy, basically? Now, I find this kind of interesting because we're constantly told how awesome the economy is, despite inflation being like 30%, 40%. Officially, of course, it's like totally hidden. It's really insulting to the average person's intelligence to say that it's like 3.2%. It's pretty nuts. Of course, it's all hogwash and a numbers game. So according to the filing, Scion Asset Management, which is founded by Michael Burry, they bought put options against $739 million worth of shares in the Invesco Trust ETF, but also a separate put options against $886 million on another S&P 500 ETF. That adds up to about $1.6 billion. A lot of money. Of course, Michael Burry famously bet against the US housing market, betting that people would fail. He was right. He was also right in the early 2000s when he bet against the whole dot-com bubble. So this guy has basically come out winning lots of money in betting against certain aspects of the economy, which is pretty interesting. Of course, he correctly predicted the big recession in 2008 that was created by, well, the banks themselves. They created the Great Recession, which is... Anyway, so during the housing crash, Michael Burry himself made about $100 million and his company made his investors around $700 million predicting the crash. So the guy has a pretty good track record when it comes to the economy and betting against all the BS that kind of happens behind the scenes in the financial markets. Pretty interesting. Michael Burry is pretty interesting because he's actually a medical doctor by training and then becoming a long-short investor, value investor, looking for overvalued assets to bet against. That's how he's made all his money so far. Also funny about him is that on Twitter, aka X, he goes by the name Cassandra BC. Pretty interesting. And it's supposed to be a reference to some kind of priestess or like an oracle from Greek mythology that supposedly was fated by the gods to utter true prophecies but never be believed. That was the curse. So Mr. Michael Burry is a very, very curious man. But maybe the doom and gloom from the prophet of Michael Burry could be wrong, considering that the S&P is up 17% this year, while NASDAQ is up over 30% just in 2023. I find all this very fascinating. Another interesting part is that Michael Burry is actually betting on long positions for some luxury sectors like retail, travel, tourism, and the media. And apparently he also increased his exposure to oil and gas, which of course in today's world, extremely important energy sector. Energy can neither be created nor destroyed, but it can be used, or that those kinds of sectors actually aren't going to be hurt so badly, where he's putting money down on the economy going up, but at the same time he's putting money down on the economy going down, or at least the stock market. But maybe the prophecies could be right. Remember that the Fed was supposed to be saying that there's a soft landing coming. Well, maybe Burry's saying it's not a soft landing. It is a crash. It is a crazy crash. And I hate to say this, but if you look around the country, everything is, not only is it divided, not only are people going crazy, crime is skyrocketing, but also things are not looking well in the world of, the politics. So with 2024 coming up soon, maybe he's betting that things are just going to get ultra crazy. And I think that's accurate. Next year is going to be a show. It's really going to be a show. No matter which side you stand on, who you're for, who you're against, maybe, just maybe, it's a good idea to prepare for when it hits the fan. You never know.
I'm going to be fine with your jokes, but I'm not sure about Dark Brandon.
And of course, the US consumer, despite whatever they tell you, the talking heads, we have reached record peak in terms of just credit card debt, to over $1 trillion in debt. That's a lot of money. That's the highest ever. But apparently, according to the New York Fed, the US consumer is actually not maxed out, which is pretty shocking. Apparently, we get maxed out when it reaches 3.5 trillion of credit card debt. That is a whole lot of money. So we're 3x away from maxing out just on credit cards. But if it's the fan next year, maybe people will have a chance to test the limits. Maybe test the limit, the $3.5 trillion limit. So hopefully, next year, between the Battle of Orange Man and Dark Brandon, hopefully there can be some peace in the US to prevent it from hitting the fan, from things getting way too crazy. Generally speaking, I'm actually pretty terrified of one or both sides going absolutely scorched earth, you know? It's crazy out there. Can't we all just get along? Anyways, according to the Bureau of Labor Stats, inflation rate is only like 3.2%. But for anyone with eyes and ears, right? When we go to the grocery store, when we go to buy anything, there's no way it's at 3%. There's just no way. It's almost insulting that they say it's 3%. So we'll see if the prophecies of Michael Burry come true. Who knows? The guy has made a lot of money with his dot-com bubble prophecy and, of course, the housing prophecy. So, is he onto something? We shall see. On a very positive note, though, El Presidente did help cure cancer. So there is that.
That's why, and we can. We end the cancer as we know it. That's why, and we can. We end the cancer as we know it.
All right, guys, that's it for this one. Thanks for watching. Smash a like if you haven't. Please do subscribe. I'll see you in the next one.
One of the things I'm always asked is, why Americans have sort of lost faith for a while and being able to do big things. If you could do anything at all, Joe, what would you do? I said I'd cure cancer. They looked at me like, why cancer? Because no one thinks we can. That's why, and we can. We'd end the cancer as we know it. That's why, and we can. We'd end the cancer as we know it. I'm going to turn this over to Roy. Roy, the podium is yours. I'm going to be fine with your jokes, but I'm not sure about Dark Brandon. All yours, pal.